This is Winging It, the somewhat whimsical, certainly whirring, decidedly wonky, seldom weighty, endlessly well-intentioned, and wildly witty show about music, where one knows what's coming and the other doesn't. It happens in between both proper to ensure you can spend anywhere from 15 to, maybe 180-ish minutes with us every week. So I like to come up with really weird things, and this is strange. Now, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't. Well, we are talking about some of rock's greatest ghost stories.
Oh, I love it.
Interesting. A good ghost story. There are many. So from cursed artifacts to Victorian apparitions in recording studios, these are the top 10 ghost stories from the world of rock and roll.
I can't wait to see what they've conjured up.
Well, let's first go ahead and make a statement about ghosts. I believe in ghosts. I think it happens. A lot of people don't. I understand that. I have been party to some very strange occurrences in my life that I cannot explain. So I don't know about you. Where do you stand on ghost stories?
I don't believe in ghosts, no. I think that what ghost activity, that paranormal activity, is actually demons. And demons and ghosts are not the same thing, even though Lydia Dietz, Winona Ryder's character in Beetlejuice doesn't seem to know that. They're not the same thing. But I don't believe in them, but I'm going to tell you, I love a good ghost story anyway. Probably even more because I don't believe in them. Why
don't you believe in them?
Well, because I have no reason to. It's like the Bible. I don't believe people just hang around in their spirits. But I think it's demons, whatever it is. I don't want to talk to nobody who ain't human and living.
Well,
except dogs,
Meatloaf's Woman in White. While recording Bat Out of Hell at Bearsville Studios, Meatloaf claimed he was stalked by a ghostly woman in white who eventually ripped the sheets off his bed, forcing him to take sleeping pills to cope with the fear.
Wow.
So that's pretty bad. If a demon, as you say, comes and rips the sheets off your bed and you have to take sleeping pills to cope with the fear. Very interesting. Well, there's more. So this one is about your favorite Posty, good old Post Malone's cursed Dybbuk box. I don't know if you're familiar with what Dybbuk boxes are.
Yes, absolutely.
Now that is the demon sort of situation.
Who would go online and buy a Dybbuk box?
Not me.
And I've actually seen ads where it says it promises it will ruin your life, And I'm thinking so if it doesn't ruin your life, do they give you your money back? I mean,
You get your life back?
Yeah. I mean, if your life does not get totally destroyed and infested and that you're going to get a refund. Okay, fine.
Yeah, Dybbuk boxes are designed
but I never heard the song.
To be very creepy. So and very obviously evil in orientation. So he went to Zach Bagans' haunted mansion and touched a Dybbuk box. He suffered a string of bad luck, including a high-speed car crash.
Ooh.
And an emergency plane landing, leading him to believe he was genuinely cursed. Now, something that's interesting that we have just kind of touched on is if you play with this kind of stuff, then bad stuff can happen.
Amen. And there is the rub, as Shakespeare would say. That's exactly the thing. As I told you, I believe in God, I believe in the Bible. However, so I'm not afraid of demons. When I see these things, they don't make me fear like, the demons are going to get me. However, if you seek this shit out, if you willfully engage in my view, God is no longer really obligated to, he's just going to let you have your way, So if you play with a Ouija board or something like that, I would never do that, So,
well, I've done that. Yeah. I did it when I was a kid.
Oh, everybody did when they were a kid,
I did it when I was a kid. I would never touch a Dybbuk box, but...
well, there goes my Christmas gift plans.
Oh, excellent. You can give it, but then I don't know what will happen to you.
As if.
So it looks like John Lennon returns to the Dakota. Following his death, Lennon's spirit was reportedly seen by musicians near the Dakota in Manhattan. Yoko Ono even claimed she saw him sitting at the white piano where he told her, "Don't be afraid, I am still with you." I don't know. I mean, we all wish John Lennon were still here, but would we want to see him in spirit, in some sort of a spiritual realm? I don't think so. I don't want to inadvertently see an apparition that looks like or is modeling itself as John Lennon sitting at the piano. I think I'm out.
As close as I would get would be a hologram, and not even that.
Not even that. You know how I feel about holograms. Yeah. Black Sabbath's Figure in Black. While recording Sabbath Bloody Sabbath at Clearwell Castle, Ozzy Osbourne and Tony Iommi followed a figure in a black cloak down a hallway, only for it to vanish into thin air. The experience was so terrifying, they refused to stay in the castle overnight.
Ah, yes, I've heard that. You see, at first I thought we were talking about the figure in black, which is a line. They have a history of having those kinds of occurrences. Their title song, Black Sabbath, "What is this? It stands before me, figure in black that points at me." Geezer Butler claims something like that happened to him way back on the first album. So yes, I have heard the stories about the castle and how they couldn't stand to be there to make that iconic record.
So even though you don't believe in, since you don't believe in ghosts, what do you think all of these people are experiencing?
Just demonic activity. Yeah, that's unwelcome enough, Yeah.
So I do want to maybe not on air get into the difference between demons and ghosts for you, or if they're one and the same. The Mars Volta's Ouija board disaster. During the recording of the Bedlam in Goliath, the band used an antique Ouija board that they claimed unleashed a curse, leading to their studio flooding, their engineer having a nervous breakdown, and their drummer quitting. Wow. So there's that Ouija board thing that you were talking about. So why would you play with an antique Ouija? I guess because they think it harmless. I mean, it is actually supposed to be a game or a toy. That's how it was peddled. I mean, it was supposedly a toy when I was younger.
Yeah.
It comes in like a little box, like Monopoly did,
and sold in toy stores.
Yeah, and you pull it out. But then there's that whole thing. Does it have power because we give it power? Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. So Ace Frehley's Haunted Staircase.
Oh,
the Kiss guitarist recounted on Celebrity Ghost Stories how his wife and daughter were pushed down the stairs of their Westchester home by an entity later identified by a psychic as an abusive mother who once lived there. Wow. So I'm not going to tell my ghost stories. I have many ghost stories, and I have many really icky stories that I've shared some of them with you.
Yeah.
But this whole things that you cannot see touching you, things you cannot see moving things, knowing, feeling like there's somebody behind you, knowing there's somebody behind you or something behind you, I cannot handle it. So I would not have been able to stay in that house. But I guess it's their home.
Yeah, you don't want to stay in that. You definitely don't want to stay in this. I did not hear that Ace story, and now I'm thinking, are there ones I can think of? The Black Sabbath one I remember. I did not hear that about Ace, but yeah, whatever it is, you don't want to stick around, as far as I'm concerned. I was going to say, some people want to play with them, talk to them. You know what? Nah.
I'm kind of out. If anything weird happens, I kind of want to get the fuck out of there. So Sid Vicious at the Hotel Chelsea.
Oh, the Chelsea.
The Hotel Chelsea is famously haunted by Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. Guests and staff have frequently reported seeing Sid's spirit in an elevator or near room 100 where Nancy died.
Oh.
There's also this whole theory about having the 13th floor. Are you aware of that? Most hotels don't have a 13th floor.
Yes, I have heard that. Imagine the superstition going so far that they won't have a 13th floor. Yeah.
Well, some of the hotels that I've stayed in that don't have a 13th floor, they will say that when they did, so one floor is really the 13th floor still.
Yeah.
When they had a 13th floor, bad things would happen. But since they eliminated it, things stopped happening.
So basically, they just renamed the 13th floor the 14th floor. And,
yes.
So because that's what brings on the bad. The hoodoo is the fact that that it's called it.
Who knows? But, people will use Friday the 13th as an excuse for acting up or acting out or acting strangely. So interesting, though.
I had not heard that one either. Now, of course, for people who don't know the history, Nancy Spungen died there. Sid Vicious did not. But of course, that's where they allege he killed her. So it makes sense. And there's a movie where it's a real romantic punk Romeo and Juliet thing. Sid and Nancy with the incredible Gary Oldman.
Oh, he's always
just
incredible,
legendary. So a lot of people don't think he killed her. But yeah, I have not heard that story. I don't believe.
Isn't that interesting? And also, by the way, speaking of the hotels, a lot of them won't have the 13th floor even on there. They don't have it, even the keys. It doesn't say 13. So there's no 13th floor. So
just pretend it doesn't exist.
But if we're counting floors, you're going to hit 13. Of course, you can argue everything is a construct, but still. All right, what about Kesha's sexual spirit?
This does not surprise me. Kesha's known to be pretty strange, or had been known to be pretty strange. Allegedly, Alice Cooper claims she did a collaboration with him on one of his albums. She wrote lyrics so fucked up he wouldn't even put them out. He made her change.
Wow.
Alice Cooper would not put this. Who sings about necrophilia would not do what Kesha had in mind.
Wow.
So it seems like a sexual demon, like a succubus or an incubus or whatever the hell it is.
I don't know. Let's see. Kesha shared on Ryan Seacrest's show that her song Supernatural was inspired by a dark sexual spirit that haunted her at a Los Angeles flop house, waking her up at night with weird energy.
Whoa.
I don't know if they did anything with that weird energy, but apparently they had some.
I was going to say, because, Katy Perry just has sex with extraterrestrials,
That's different.
But that's different. But
Interesting.
Yeah.
Graham Parsons at Joshua Tree.
Really?
Legend says the ghost of Graham Parsons haunts room 8, not 13, of the Joshua Tree Inn, the site where he died of an overdose and from which his body was famously stolen for a desert cremation.
Really? I did not know he died like that.
Yeah.
So, no, I never heard the story
Brutal.
either.
So not only did we just go through some ghost stories, but I have some haunted places as well, like the mansion in Laurel Canyon in Los Angeles. This 10-bedroom estate built in 1918 and once owned by Errol Flynn is arguably the most famous haunted studio in rock history. Are you familiar with this?
Laurel Canyon is known for artists and musicians. It's very, great cultural hub there. Never heard this story before.
The spirits, so resident ghosts reportedly include a man in a tuxedo and a female spirit whose voice is often heard in the halls.
So The Shining, basically.
Pretty much. Notable encounters. During the recording of Blood Sugar Sex Magic, the Red Hot Chili Peppers were so convinced of her presence that drummer Chad Smith refused to stay in the house overnight. Linkin Park, Marilyn Manson, and Slipknot also reported objects moving on their own and cold spots while recording there.
You know what? And I don't blame him, because, seriously, having felt that presence, and I know what that feels like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay, and I ain't even afraid of demons, but I know they
fuck out of there.
I know they can't hurt me, but I sure as hell don't want to be there. It's just not cool.
Have you heard of Rockfield Studios in Wales?
I have not.
As the world's first residential studio, Rockfield has hosted everyone from Queen to Oasis, along with some unsettling guests. The Ouija incident. Ozzy Osbourne and Randy Rhoads reportedly used a Ouija board that predicted Rhoads' tragic death in a plane crash just a few years later.
Wow.
Phantom figures. Musicians have frequently reported seeing a woman in white and shadowy figures roaming the corridors of the converted farm buildings. Wow. So that whole playing with the Ouija board thing, predicting things, that is very, very, very bad. That is something that a lot of people do because obviously a Ouija board has the letters and the numbers, right? And yes and no and all of that stuff. So very, very interesting.
Too much reading for me.
Oh my God.
Just talk to me, okay? Just talk. No, don't talk to me.
Oh my God. Well, what about this one? The Village Studios in Los Angeles.
How the hell have I not heard all these things?
I know. Housed in a former Masonic temple, this studio is a staple of LA music with a few permanent residents who never left. The Phantom Bassist. Staff and artists have reported a phantom bass player who supposedly disappeared during the construction of Studio B and can still be heard doing overdubs at night.
Did this bass player have a name? Is any bass players unaccounted for?
The Little Boy, also. A ghostly young boy is also frequently sighted appearing and disappearing throughout the premises. So we got a overdub session and a small child. Please account for your children.
Yeah.
You're supposed to watch your children.
And account for your bassists, too.
I guess. I'm trying to understand, can I go to these? I might want to go to some of these LA ones. This is pretty cool. What about the Garden Recording Studio in London?
I've never actually even heard of the studio, much less the ghost story. Say on.
Well, now it's a sandwich shop.
Wow.
But this Shoreditch studio was a hotspot for 80s icons like The Cure and Depeche Mode. Elsie the Ghost. Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys claimed a young girl named Elsie haunted the echo chamber during the recording of Favorite Worst Nightmare. He noted that unexplained whispers can actually be heard on some of the band's recordings from those sessions.
Really?
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So those are some. There's a couple more. So other notable haunted studios: 10050 Cielo Drive, Le Mancio. Trent Reznor recorded Nine Inch Nails' "The Downward Spiral" at the site of Sharon Tate murders.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
He
That one I
eventually-
knew.
He eventually moved out, claiming the vibe was too intense after fans started leaving shrines at his front gate.
Wow. That's a little creepy right there.
That's
yeah.
way. No, first of all, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you ever go to the site of a murder? I don't know that I would ever do anything like that. I mean, there is likely to be some negativity, negative energy.
I have to agree, and I don't believe like the spirits of them are hanging around anything, but it cannot be. It does not sound like it would be a very helpful attitude, atmosphere. But then again, when you're recording shit like Trent Reznor, maybe that's what you're looking for.
That's some great stuff, yeah. St. Catherine's Court in Bath. So Radiohead recorded OK Computer in this Tudor manner. Guitarist Johnny Greenwood reported that ghosts would talk to me while I was asleep. And the band eventually recorded in the ballroom to capture the mansion's eerie acoustic voices.
You know what? I think recording in the ballroom would be almost as eerie as recording in this room with the echo.
So finally, I'll say one more. Sugar Hill Studios in Houston, one of the oldest studios in the U.S. Employees have reported feeling watched at night and playing loud music specifically to deter the spirits.
Sugar Hill, very interesting. That's it screams of voodoo, because that was a movie from the 70s about this lady that brings zombies back to fight the mob and shit. So it's probably what they had in mind. So it seems like they would embrace the morbid and the macabre, and so it doesn't surprise me. But I had not heard that one either.
Right, quite interesting.
But there is one more, and most of these are frightening. Most of these involve being frightened. But there is one supernatural story that's everybody knows in rock that where the people were not frightened, or at least I don't think, was Alice Cooper. Allegedly, that's where the band got its name from, was a Ouija board. But since nobody was spooked about it or made a big deal out of it, that's probably why why it's not been brought up.
Interesting. So before we go, just a few facts about ghosts that are out there. So there's no definitive scientific evidence that ghosts are real, but that goes for demons as well. And their existence is generally considered impossible by physicists as it contradicts fundamental laws of thermodynamics. So the physics argument, the law of physics, specifically the second law of thermodynamics, they argue that ghosts, they argue against ghosts, really. For a ghost to exist as a separate energy being, it would need to maintain its energy without dispersing, which is not possible under current scientific understanding. Very interesting.
Well, explain that contraption they have in Ghostbusters then.
Cultural and personal beliefs. Despite the lack of scientific evidence, about 45% to 50% of people believe in ghosts, and many claim to have had paranormal experiences.
Yeah, when I said I love ghost stories before, I meant like movies and books and stuff like that. Now, I hadn't heard most of these, but they're very interesting. But I do like that sort of thing. And it's easy to get a good scare out of a story, out of something you can't see.
Absolutely. So anyway, I hope that was interesting to kind of take a dive into the creepy, spooky side of music, where obviously lots of people, while they're recording music or even at their homes, have experienced some really strange things that go bump in the night that they cannot explain, they can't see. So very, very creepy stuff. I like all that stuff, and I believe in it, which makes it even creepier. But anyway.
I recommend that if you're frightened by things that go bump in the night, put on a record by Ascent and bump back.
Ooh, I like that.
Seriously, it's hard to be
argue.
frightened with hard rock playing, honestly.
Yeah, you really can't. I mean, that's true. All right, well, before things get even spookier, I will say that only leaves for you to say...
Boo. Oh, sorry. Let's fly this coop.
This has been Winging It. A presentation of Birds of a Feather on What the Flock Radio.